Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to LEGO DC Supervillains. Now it has been quite a time, frankly, since I last played. In fact, so much that I've played all the way through Metroid Dread on my Nintendo Switch. There's no footage of Nintendo games on my channel though, because Nintendo is not fair use. Doesn't believe in the concept of fair use. So we're supposed to be in this mission. Let's see. Nope, not that button. Like this. Yeah, here. So we're supposed to save the rookie who has the anti-life equation into her as far as the next story. And we are now in this weird situation where the superheroes are working with the supervillains to take on the Justice Syndicate, which I'm not sure that the Justice Syndicate is even around here. I don't know storyline wise if they're even around. Inherently, I've been saying do not lose momentum in this game. You can see that there is not a lot that's been done as far as the open world, and taking what has probably been at least a week off is basically the exact opposite of what I've been saying to do. Here we can see how this hovering ability that Lex Luthor has, which they chose to have you play as Lex Luthor, not Superman, so this still is somewhat DC supervillains. Lex Luthor in a Superman power suit. There is an interesting catch-22, I guess, both probably for Marvel and DC Comics, in that the general belief in society in technology always eventually getting so good that it replaces any natural abilities just really smashes against what superheroes are as a concept. Things that people and creatures that have natural abilities for one reason or another. And certainly when comic books existed, technology, like comics starting in the 1920s, 1940s, technology really wouldn't have been that complicated. So we as a society have really shifted the way we think about what is going to improve humanity. In the old days, it would have been a Superman type hero character, a sports figure, someone who's really strong or really fast. Interesting how this is just pointing us to fly straight up to get to this point, instead of there being like an elevator or anything like that. And then we're just surrounded by a bunch of heroes and superheroes that have been probably the A-team throughout this game. So I'm wondering if we're going on a story mission, which would make a lot of sense with all of these characters, which would be kind of a big collection of people. Noticeably, Harley Quinn seems to not be in the mix, instead going for the Joker and Cheetah. Batman and the Joker, Cheetah and Wonder Woman are, like, Cheetah is Wonder Woman's, or at least at one time's, main bad guy, but Killer Frost and Reverse Flash are really the Flash's rogues gallery, and the Flash is not here. And yeah, you would expect Harley Quinn to be more involved, since she's just been in the story up until this point.
Live from the streets of Metropolis, as the villains of Earth lend their help and powers to our heroes, Let's hope their usual mischief and mayhem doesn't ultimately impede the Justice League in their pursuit of Darkseid.
There's another lady with a pet alligator.
And acquiring the equation,
Callback joke.
It's game over for Earth and probably the whole universe. The world holds its breath and waits.
Off air, Lois. Hey, if this really is the end of the world, do you think Perry would give me a raise for the last week on Earth?
Worth a shot, Jimmy. You got nothing to lose.
Now what's funny is that was a different icon that didn't have the blinking dead battery, and it still said live while he was talking.
But only once we have the rookie. Lex, I never knew you cared.
We'll need to act quickly before Darkseid gets what he wants.
We should split up. No point in all of us looking in the same place.
First one to find the rookie gets a cookie.
Sorry, force of habit.
Definitely feels like there should be like twice as much comedy in this, in these cutscenes.
Like
maybe a few more callback jokes.
Hey, we win the cookie.
Rookie.
Soon, we will have extracted the last element of the equation, my lord.
Excellent. Then untold power will belong to me.
And we never got any real backstory on Desaad or
Let them come.
Darkseid.
None can stop me.
So you really would have to be familiar with these characters.
Desaad, who is this insect?
I am Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mastermind of this or any other Earth. And you have an associate of mine.
So
Shall belong to me.
it's really questionable why you would even have the group split up if it was just going to boil down to, oh,
Just in time.
we're going to follow the person that finds the rookie immediately.
Oh, how correct you are. This won't be easy. Far from it, in fact. Let me introduce you to one of my latest inventions.
And you can definitely feel how some of the previous LEGO games being broken up into two parts made some sense. Often they did it incredibly poorly, I would say. The LEGO Harry Potter ones, I would say probably did it some of the best in that they separated the books out in a very natural way, in line with the way the books themselves were separated out.
Looks like someone's ready for a fight.
So am I supposed to be punching this, or am I supposed to be standing on platforms with each of them? They're not like really staying on the platforms.
What? How could this be? Oh dear.
It really just feels like Killer Frost's ice powers were the only thing that would have broken that.
Man, this guy's really upset about us destroying his little toy. Let's see if we can rebuild it into something useful.
Yeah, it really comes off like what we're gonna find out is there's a lot of room for there to have been two other episode levels where the other two teams split off and searched for the rookie and then found that the rookie wasn't there. But it's hard to believe that that's going to be the case in this instance, because then we would have to find out that like Darkseid and the rookie both are fakes or holograms or something, or they would have to escape, which for a kids game failing or feeling like you're failing is something you probably wouldn't want to do. And I guess if we get a flaming torch, let's see if we can find some other flaming torches somewhere to potentially shoot. Nope, not seeing any. And then you have so many characters in this game in particular where they can fly, which breaks, I imagine, a lot of level design. Which arguably maybe that's why so many of these levels are in these small round arena concepts, is that they just gave up on even trying to make a level that you couldn't just fly through. Which I don't think that's particularly a fair way to do things, because pretty much every other Lego game has a few characters that can fly around, or at least jump really high. It seems like this is kind of silvery, so feels like that's what you're supposed to do, but that didn't really feel like that was explained well enough.
You're not going anywhere, you unworthy creatures. Nothing shall stand in the way of the universe's righteous new ruler. Here we go again.
You do get into this very weird situation where
The first to experience prototypes of my new, even more powerful weapon.
Oh, lucky us.
Might be more powerful, but I'm willing to bet it's still not indestructible. Let's look for another weakness we can use.
like, I have no idea how I even defeated it the first time. I was playing as, like, it looks to me like there's probably a grapple point here. And then we'll use this white breath, laser breath.
Losing again. Those inventions of yours are the biggest joke I've ever seen. You will pay for this.
Let's find a way to reach him before he attacks again.
Yeah, I really have no idea why anybody would follow Darkseid when it seems like his entire concept is to find the anti-life equation and end all life in the universe, or end most life in the universe. It just, like, you would have to really hope that you're just on his good side and he's not going to eventually decide to destroy you too, or that you would piss him off and he would destroy you. I think potentially you would run into a situation where
Really melts your heart.
it would just never be enough,
Not in my case.
and he would end up killing even his allies. That's one thing, particularly in comic book writing, which is not particularly good, is that you really never have a very loyal evil villain boss. Like, it would make a lot more sense if there was a penguin type guy who is kind of a mobster boss, and he hires people and he keeps them for life and he treats them really well. He never like hits them, yells at them, calls them idiots, or abandons them for himself. Sure, they could be doing bad things, but if there was more of that, like, gang mentality that the gang is your family and you always work together, it would make a lot more sense for half of these low-level thugs to be involved in these gangs. Otherwise, you look at a city like Gotham, and the only reason it would make sense that anybody would
Let's see if there's a way to free our
work
friend from here.
with the Joker is that there is either just incredibly no other legitimate job opportunities or career opportunities in Gotham, and it's just a city like clearly divided by an ultra elite group and an ultra poor group, which I think that is generally the idea as far as what Gotham is supposed to be like. Or it's a case where Batman actually only stops 1 out of every like 1,000 crimes, and you can actually have a fairly good chance of never running into Batman or the police. But even at that, when you have the Batman, in most cases, like, beating up criminals horribly,
Disappoint me, son. I will deal with you later. For
then
now, I have uninvited guests to attend to.
I still think I would probably move to a different
There can be only one true criminal mastermind.
So be it.
city.
So be it.
I think if you compare it to, like,
The time of my victory is
the Flash's city, which is that Coast City? I can't remember. So I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing here other
my
than just
reign shall begin.
dodging damage, and I'm just playing as seemingly only Green Lantern.
Enough game. This is the end.
It's either Green Lantern or
Why do I get the feeling that direct attacks aren't going to work on this guy?
Agreed. We need to build something that can disable that contraption.
so yeah, it's either Green Lantern or Lex Luthor. So he's built this kryptonite gun,
What is the meaning of this?
which I don't know why kryptonite would hurt him. And he doesn't really have that much health, even though this is very much a puzzle fight. And I guess you can see how Darkseid here is just kind of above it all.
I wouldn't have anticipated that.
As far as a super strong enemy.
I'm open to suggestions, Mr. Lantern.
I might be able to create a construct that'll take him down. But I'll need to focus my lantern energy to do it.
I said suggestions, not strange ramblings. Whatever it is you're thinking of, just do it!
The universe will be
So they created that so you had to use both characters.
Yes. Yes. Of course. It's so simple.
There's a Lego Indiana Jones in that equation.
The entire universe will fall.
It's a whole bunch of Lego
Diary
stuff.
was empty anyway. Lantern, stop gawking and grab the rookie. Right. Good luck.
And he's gone. Why do we trust this guy?
I may not like superpowers or heroes, but they have their uses. Never underestimate Lex Luthor.
Insignificant speck.
So why even bother splitting up if you're just gonna bring them back together?
Well, you heard the bat. Time to show this chunk of cosmic rock how bad we can be.
You're really finished now. The anti-life equation is finally mine. Mine.
And it's telling me to tap A, and it's not even letting me really play the game.
Yes! Come, my parasites! Serve your master Darkseid! Destroy the fool who dare stand in his path!
There is but a small sample of my power.
Well, what do you know? Just a job.
Where am I? My. Lex wasn't exaggerating when he said the situation was dire.
Good to see you, Johnny. Think you can help us out against Darkseid? Maybe throw
There's a lot of
My powers won't be of much use against Darkseid, but his weak-minded minion might prove to be of use. All shall bow before Darkseid.
Can't stay here for much
So I'm
longer.
supposed to
Those attacks of
tap
his are gonna
B
get us.
to control this guy.
Obey, Rod. Obey!
Decide, you fool. What are you doing?
Why did I do that?
Good work. Maybe we can use the parts from the ship to build something to fight Darkseid.
Why does this feel
This
like
feels
a bad
like
idea?
a tutorial,
overflowing with good ones at the moment.
not the final boss fight.
Inexplicable offense is this?
And then it's just having us tap X. So we're really far afield of even the boss fights we've been doing up until this
I
point.
can feel my powers continuing to grow.
Let's keep moving. Perhaps his own attacks will be his undoing.
If there's one thing he can't beat us at, it's speed.
Failure to stop me will be the first of many.
This is going to be a real struggle to get enough studs in the first place, and then it's going to be a very odd experience this level when we're in free play mode.
So, it is finally time to face this so-called threat.
The fabled Death Atom. If you come to challenge me,
No, I have come to defeat you.
I sincerely doubt that.
We're moving
I've
to
got you.
dig and getting destroyed in the process. It is dangerously getting close to just a whole bunch of neon color vomit on the screen. And that's something I particularly do not like in video games. I see it in a lot of screenshots for video games where it's just like every screenshot is this bright neon taking up 80-90% of the screen. It's not that bad in this case, but it is pretty bad. And it feels like it's getting worse.
Darkseid is indeed powerful. However, our forces combined may be enough to halt his progress.
Okay, let's get to work.
Am I supposed to be doing something here? Or is it just moving us to Speed Force Run mode one last time? Clearly you could have had
Here goes nothing.
like half of these characters in the first game and like half of the characters in a sequel, and you could have just fought the Justice Society in the first game. I'm getting spun up, and I just don't know if that means I'm supposed to play as a different character or what.
There you are,
Like,
Darkseid.
I have no idea what just happened there as to why I unlocked a
The Lanterns have never been able to match my power. Why should that be any different?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting flipped back into the center. It just seems like there's a dome here of stuff we can not really interact with, even though there's stuff to break.
Once I can focus my ring's energy, I will create the distraction we need.
So what am I supposed to be doing now?
Now what? Now we use our time wisely. Let's look around for an advantage.
So yeah, we're running around this Flash. Yeah, there's just like good ideas, or the beginnings of good ideas for a Flash game. Good ideas for a villains game here. But none of it is quite fleshed out. And almost certainly a few better polished ideas would have been better than a wide variety of we've just got to throw as many DC villains in one game as possible. Arguably, Lego Batman 3 probably had the same mistake in its design, in that it was throwing out a lot of superheroes to the point where they just didn't matter enough. And arguably, if you were to start the Lego Batman series over again, you would have one or two Batman games that focus around Batman and his rogue galleries. Then you'd have a Flash game. Then you'd have a Wonder Woman game. You would separate it all out, and it wouldn't be, I would say it probably should be at least 10 years before you get to a great collab game that just has all the characters in the DC universe together. I think I'm supposed to be floating up here and grabbing this, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be grabbing it with this character or not. And I'm not sure if I just have to like grab. It seems to me like it was one character. But that was the wrong character? Like, there's nothing really to break here. So, am I supposed to be hitting this character, or? Maybe I'm supposed to be playing a Sinestro. It doesn't seem like it lets me play a Sinestro. Let's run around again and look and see if we get a general idea. Like, it seems like this is an extra section that you would have to move around with some magical abilities. Which I guess she has. So, Batman. Then what? Oh, I guess I was supposed to bat spin on that. And then that's just gonna load a weapon. And we're just straight up shooting the Lego head here. And I'm just holding down the X button.
It worked. I think we might actually have a chance.
Let's stay on the attack. There must be something else around here we can use.
I probably, well, almost certainly should better understand what I'm supposed to do at this point, since we're at the end of the story, and have done something very similar to this, at least in the midpoint of the game. Although in all fairness, you could probably accuse me of forgetting a section that was fairly similar to this, just because I've taken so many breaks. I definitely know there was a tank section earlier, but it didn't feel quite like that, and it's not like the tanks memorably came out of those circular type towers. Even if they did, a single line of dialogue would have really helped.
Maybe we should get somewhere less falling?
Or just having the turrets, like, at the beginning.
Now, I have the complete equation. I know the secrets of the universe.
Not quite. I think our friend here isn't from our universe.
What?
Rookie turned up just before the crime syndicate, which makes me think our super powerful stranger is from Earth 3. When Rookie
Shakes her head,
absorbed the
yes.
Mother Box power, it was altered by their Earth 3 makeup.
So she's just turned them all good.
Them good? How do you know this?
World's greatest detective.
My parademons. What a hideous corruption. No, must resist. Urge to smile. What was I thinking? That looks lovely. Hey, can I play? Can I still be your leader? We can all have cake.
I love cake.
I want a kitten.
This is a funny, cutesy way to end the
I
story.
didn't expect that.
This piece might not last, but it's worth a shot.
I do hope you'll stay for tea.
Time to go.
Luthor, are you there? Darkseid is neutralized. Bring us back and then send this planet to the other side of the galaxy.
Yeah, like Luther's gonna do that.
Luthor?
The thing is, Superman, I've now got all of you in one place. Once again, I'm in the position to rid myself of all of you with the flick of one switch.
Oh no, not again.
Luthor, don't!
You got 2 achievements for finishing that. So I genuinely didn't see the idea that our main character would have been from Earth 3, which seems like it kind of opposite Earth. It's a cutesy way to end things, certainly. I don't know if that means that there's going to be some major power that we gain from that, or if there are going to be more storyline elements and more story levels now. But yep, it definitely feels like it's weird to have an Earth 3 character that is just a custom character and doesn't echo an existing Earth 1 superhero or supervillain. And yeah, seems like we're just gonna finish the story here.
People of Metropolis and Earth, I, Lex Luthor, have rid you of Darkseid and his fire planet. In payment for my services as Earth's protector, I shall only demand a title of, say, Emperor.
It's weird to have a
dear.
random combination of random people and then Lois Lane and
Only waited for
Hey there. I was just telling the crowd here of the noble sacrifice you made.
No, he wasn't.
Are you going to come quietly?
You're arresting me? You're an escaped criminal, remember? Well, what about the rookie?
Rookie played a big hand in saving the planet, then didn't deliberately leave us marooned halfway across the galaxy.
Rookie engaged in criminal activities. Like a pro.
And that's it. You don't get a chance to make a better choice, Batman? We need to be better than that. You could join us and help make a real difference.
Or you could. Yes, you could join us and have a lot more fun.
Interesting that they're giving you this decision at the end of the game. And it doesn't seem like it's actively going to interesting. Well, you have this weird situation here where I guess this is just the ending of the game choice, which is such an old school way of doing things, and I'm glad they don't do this anymore, really. So we could stay as a villain, or we could become a hero for the first time. I think we should become a hero, just because it's something different. It feels like there's probably going to be a way to switch around, or it's not going to matter any at all. It would really, really suck to have to play the whole game all the way through just to stay as a villain.
You made the right choice.
We'll see.
After everything I did for you.
Didn't you try and send them to the other side of the universe?
Shut up, Joker.
Twice?
Coming.
Yeah, it feels like you literally would have just gotten a slightly different animation there. It doesn't even feel like you got an achievement for that. Wow, these credits are scrolling pretty fast with not that many people listed. It's a weird situation, certainly, to say. I feel like this should have been broken into 2 games as far as the number of characters, but then I also have to complain about the stories and the number of levels, and then I also have to balance that with the fact that there's just a massive amount of open world stuff that we haven't even touched yet. Like, we almost certainly are somewhere around 30% at most of completion. Some of that is DLC stuff, certainly, but a lot of it is just open world stuff that would have been in the base game even if you hadn't bought any DLC. And inherently, I feel like LEGO games got considerably worse once they started to sell DLC, even minifig collections, because it would have made a lot more sense to try to have more LEGO games focused around some of those DLC characters, even if they were really short mini versions of LEGO games. There is this problem that LEGO Star Wars, the complete saga, established when it merged the prequel movies and the original movies together, giving you effectively 2 games in one. That created a game that was very high value for dollar as far as just playtime, and then they've constantly had to hold themselves up to that standard when clearly Warner Brothers and TT Games would have preferred to have sold much smaller games more often, and they really should have just hired more and more people to make LEGO games in general and scaled up so that there could have been potentially a LEGO game coming out every 2 or 3 months, or at least every 6 months over the years. Whereas now, when they moved over to the Unreal Engine and the Skywalker Saga, they had to delay that quite a bit, and then they really stopped making any Lego games worth mentioning while they were working on the Skywalker saga. And now AT&T has bought Warner Brothers and TT Games, so it's questionable how many, if any, more Lego games are going to come from Warner Brothers and TT Games. Instead, we've seen Lego branch out and license their product to several other game developers making very different types of games, and arguably that is better for Lego fans. These games have always been really more for like Legofied cartoon fans or minifig fans, because they've never really had systems that integrated the idea of actually building playsets or having any real entertainment with playsets. They've never integrated into the idea of selling actual real-world sets, which in all fairness, most of these games probably are played well past the point that any Lego set would go out of print, and it would be impossible to find them. But you don't even really get callbacks that often. Seems completely disconnected. In a lot of ways, a lot of the TT Lego games could have just been cartoony licensed games and gotten away from the Lego aspect, and they would have worked just as well. Which, in all fairness, we need more of those too. We desperately need more kids games overall. Although, while you hit a certain wall where you can only give more opportunities for kids to pick what games they want to play, but you can't give kids who are in school and have their time strictly regulated by most parents and just by reality. So they can only really play so many hours of screen time, which means they can only really play so many hours of any one game. And the kid that gets into something like Pokemon, the trading card game, is going to eat up their game and entertainment time doing that, and then they're not going to have as much time to play video games as, say, a kid that was obsessed with Lego games or a kid that was obsessed with Minecraft. They have to pick and choose, and they generally just have less screen time than any adult would actually give themselves. This credits, as we're still going through it, it was weird. It started kind of thinned out and fast, and now it feels like it's slightly slowed down and we're getting slightly more people. Although you really are getting like double line spacing still. And I don't see why you wouldn't just have like 2 columns here, or at least get rid of the double line spacing aspect. This almost feels like this is going to unlock a extra mission like the old Lego games, but we haven't seen a extra mission concept in a long time. Those are the levels that tend to have just like mini versions of Gotham, mini versions of Smallville. We may actually unlock that. That would explain like the blue levels. And in those extra missions, you're just running around smashing everything with a time limit to get to 1,000,000 studs. But yeah. I think you would probably write the running gag here as you start as a supervillain, as a custom character, or arguably you start not as a custom character and you just play as Harley Quinn, and then the Joker or Lex tells you, the character you play as, to go be an undercover agent and work for the superheroes too. So you would do like one level playing with clear supervillains, then you would do another level playing as superheroes, and you could have Harley Quinn in a really silly like costume get up, pretending to be a superhero there, and then you would switch between the two. Like I said before, you would almost certainly get rid of half at least of the main players. Get it down to just like the Trinity, where you're playing alongside Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Or you get it down to at least the minimal Justice League characters, which would be the Trinity of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then the Flash and Cyborg, who played basically no role in this story, and then Green Lantern. There is also an argument to have had Martian Manhunter. He doesn't even show up in this game, interestingly, as far as just one that stands out. And then you would definitely get it down as far as the villain side to Lex Luthor, Joker. Maybe you do Killer Frost instead of like Captain Cold, which they clearly did in this story to have more of a female aspect. Cheetah, maybe throw in that just to counter Wonder Woman. But you definitely don't need to throw in Aquaman and the Justice Syndicate characters. Well, you probably still would have the Justice Syndicate as the main bad guys throughout the entirety of a story half this long. And then ending on a potential cliffhanger where you defeat the Justice Syndicate, but then Apocalypse arrives, and then you tease the next game is going to be heavily focused on Apocalypse and Darkseid. It would make some decent sense there. There is definitely something to the idea also that the anti-life equation is yet again that concept of if you just learn something special enough, if you just gain knowledge, gain technology, develop technology from gaining knowledge, you will inherently surpass people with natural born ability or talent, aka superheroes, or even supervillains, really, because even the supervillains have this natural talent, they're just using it for evil. But it does create this weird situation and this weird way of thinking, in that is just not how the Western world in particular thinks anymore. It's how somebody in 1920 would have thought. It is very much World War I trench warfare mentality, where if you just have enough skilled shooters in trenches and enough skilled soldiers in trenches shooting very relatively old-fashioned guns, or riding horseback and swinging swords even in World War I. There were some armies still doing that. That was the way people thought that you would win a war. And when you get to like World War II, tanks and bombers and airplanes, clearly it was proven that technology had won the day. And pretty quickly, once you get from World War II, you start to see a very large embracing of getting better and better technology, the moon race, nuclear bombs, things like that. And eventually that gets into the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, where we're getting into an era of the integrated circuit and microcircuitry, and at that point there is a clear desire for technology to be the way forward, and this worship of technology that will save humanity and that will empower one person over another. And we've not really gotten too far out of that even as of 2023, in the sense that finally these credits are done. We are still just pushing forward towards the idea of artificial intelligence and towards the idea of these are a lot of open source libraries to use. I have not seen these credits or noticed these credits in previous LEGO games. Definitely feels like a different team was using different technology to make this game, which would definitely explain why the levels feel so weird. Like using CURL is a Linux-based software, and using JSON standard formatting as far as a JavaScript object kind of database file, or not really a database file as much as it is a file for saving settings. Even org vorbis seems like a very old technology to be using. You can see some of these copyrights even don't make sense. As you've got MD5 as copyrighted in 2005, and then JSON parser and they're doing it both in English and French, which implies to me that a French team worked on this game. But yeah, we're now in the era of thinking that artificial intelligence and big data set and the idea of big data in general will help push society forward or individuals forward and give them an advantage. And particularly in video games, that's the beginnings of using artificial intelligence and big data sets as sampling to generate derivative art and derivative code from other people's work, whether it's copyrighted or not. This animation is a weird animation at the end, but I guess I have no idea where you would put that animation. The big question here is if the rookie could turn all of these guys into nice people, why not do the same to the other guys? Okay, so with no explanation, we are back at Darkseid's place. Interesting. Just walk through a glowing door, which is really not how LEGO games have worked before, although they easily could have. Alright. And we saw a new robot character, which I assume he is probably somebody I should recognize, but I would hold my tongue and just decide later as far as what character that is. I'm not playing as the rookie, and I have to just assume we're going directly into DLC after game, after credit levels of 5 more levels, which very possibly this was supposed to be the beginning of a sequel, although in all fairness I can definitely understand why you wouldn't have gotten a sequel, since most of these levels were pretty rough. It really just feels like if this was a new French team that had never made a LEGO game before, they just needed a lot more guidance and a lot more help. Maybe they were given guidance and they didn't listen to it. That is certainly possible, but in a lot of ways you're given guidance politely, but you actually have to follow it or you get fired. So, yeah, nobody really enforced any rules on them, it seems. It would be very weird if these DLC levels do feel way different. My estimate was even over. We're only at 24.1%. And I guess we have 5 more levels to do. As far as looking at characters, we can see there is a considerable amount of characters still that we have not unlocked. And I have to just assume that most of those are from open world scenarios, and like most Lego games, it's probably best to just not unlock these characters until you've already done free play mode. Otherwise it's going to get very confusing as to which character has what ability, particularly in this case when there are just so many abilities that you potentially need in a free play level. Like, just a ridiculous amount. But yeah, we really haven't made any progress as far as any of the collectibles, the red bricks in particular, we need to get. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. There's a bunch of social media and support links down below in the description box if you want to support me further. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.